Wait, are you in 1080p?
Yep, 1080p.
So crispy.
Yo, I know, right? Yeah.
Okay, so for real, I need a progression guide.
What the fuck is a progression guide?
You know, I need to know where I need to be at, what I need to do next, I need to know where I need to be at each stage in the game, etc.
That sounds complicated as fuck. I know what I'll do. I'll show you where I'm at on JP right now, and then you can compare yourself to me and make your own inferences on what you want to do.
That's not what I wanted.
Who's the bitch now? So for this video, we're gonna be doing something that I haven't done yet. And the reason I'm gonna do it is because we're really close to the Japanese version anniversary. And I thought it'd be a good time to show you guys where my box was after a year of playing the game. And what's really interesting, it's just super fun to think about, is that Global has paced at a rate that's so much faster than JP did on launch that my Global account may catch up to my JP account within the next 3 months, which is really cool. And that's actually really exciting to me. So I wanted to show you where my JP account is currently at, and then also show you, and I'll give you an idea of what I'm gonna do to get my my global account to that level, because I'm really excited to get there within the next 3 months. So guys, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into it. So on the global version, I just broke 1 million combat class for my account combat class, and I was like, wait, my Japanese account's only at 2.8 million. So the reason I thought I was like, oh wait, I can definitely catch up is because on the Japanese version, as characters get released, it's really easy to catch that point. But the rate that the global characters are getting released is about double of what JP had, and they're giving out more SR medals, more SSR medals. They're giving out more Fiesta quicker, and they're giving out more blue stones, more account progression stuff. So my equipment rate will actually be double that of what it was on JP, and my overall progression rate for chalices and everything else will also be higher because I'm able to farm more, because I'm buying the stamina pack bundles too. So I was like, oh wait, I could definitely catch up to my JP account. I wonder how long it would take me to get there. So my goal in the next few months is going to be checking out how long it's going to take me to catch up to my JP account, and if I can catch that JP account in say half the time. So if I could catch my if I could get to the same level as my Japanese version account is right now, at 2.8 million combat class within 6 months of playing global, that would definitely show you that global is pacing very quickly versus JP. And I was super curious to see if I could actually do it. So I think that it's definitely possible, because I've heard a lot of people on global have like over 1.2 to 1.5 million combat class on their accounts. I'm like, oh, that's super cool. So it's definitely possible then. So I'm really curious to see if we can do it. So going to the account, I have a lot of things built out on the account, and some of them are stupid, some of them are necessary, what it may be. But I do get this question asked a lot, and the number one question I get asked no matter what is about MELIODAS. And hey, Sekapoko, what's your build on MELIODAS? And I'm like, okay, dude, chill. let me go over that. So on Blue Demon MELIODAS, I have 14% rolls on his belt and his orb. I got about 14% roll, or 13% rolls, a little bit 13.5 on his defense rolls, and then his attack and his tap roll. I actually just have attack rolls. And why do I have attack rolls? It was for combat class. If I wanted the most amount of damage that I could possibly get on Demon MELIODAS, I would go with Pierce rolls for PvP. However, what's really interesting about Demon MELIODAS in PvP, if you wanted to know, is Demon MELIODAS has issues with combat class. And you get to this point on the Japanese version where you're fighting a lot of mirror compositions. And you're seeing it right now in global, where you fight like that ult rushing Escanor, Gother, and King team, where you're just like seeing somebody ulti rush on the Escanor, get the Escanor ulti up, and then they have the King and the Gother ready, and they're ready to do the ultis on there if they put too much pressure there. So there's lots of different rotations that you could do on other characters that allow you to just put massive amounts of pressure on enemy teams, and that team is very meta. And since you're fighting against that team all the time, the team that goes first has a massive advantage, correct? So the same thing can be said of Demon MELIODAS teams. When you're fighting other Demon MELIODAS teams the thing that happens a lot is you're going to see what I've seen against other Demon Meliodas teams is people typically were running combat class food on the Japanese version because they always wanted to go first. And that was really the only thing that mattered, was going first. And this was before any Valenti's drop. This was before any Red Kings drop. This was before anything that would counter Demon Meliodas came out. So that's what people were running. Now, I'm not sure if that's going to be the case on the global version, and if a Pierce rate set, it would actually be more viable. But since this set of gear is actually good for every single Meliodas in the game, a Pierce set doesn't actually give you good support stats, doesn't help you out on other characters. It would only help you for Demon Meliodas specifically. So that's a really interesting thing about Demon Meliodas, is that you can go both ways. But one, the attack and defense and HP set is going to be good for multiple Meliodases versus just the one. And seeing how, if we look at my overall character box, if I wanted to look at how many Meliodases I had, I have a total of, I have the blue Demon Meliodas, the red Demon Meliodas, there's a green Demon Meliodas. I have two versions. I have the SR Meliodas and I have the green SSR Meliodas down here. There's the green Demon Meliodas. Where's the there's green Meliodas, and then there's also Lost Vein Meliodas, which of course I don't have, even though I summoned for, and I just did not get lucky enough to pull him. So there are tons of other Meliodases in the game that come later, and that, seeing how I'm JP, I was a much bigger budget player than I am now. I definitely would not be able to, push as hard on. I definitely wouldn't have able to multiple gear sets for a Meliodas and try out that. So I definitely would not be able to push as hard. So that's why I have an attack, defense, and HP set. But if you want to have the most damage, that's what you can go for. On the Japanese version, we also have UR sets, and UR sets are basically gear sets that are just upgraded SSR sets. And because of that, you can see all the purple sets that I have right now are gear sets that I've started upgrading for the Japanese version. And I also have other SSR sets that are in my box that just, are on random characters. I have support units that I use all the time for just different support reasons. I have just random gear sets that have like Pierce rolls on them, etc., or just random like low other gear sets that I've started working on. It really just depends on the day. And then here's the Pierce attack roll. Next question I always get asked is, what's going to be your build for blue Lilia? And I'll go over blue Lilia's build, and I'm going to talk about all the variants of blue Lilia builds and what is most effective with it, because a lot of you are going to ask about it. So for blue Lilia, my blue Lilia equipment is going to be Pierce on the top row. I've gone with an attack defense roll. I've done a Pierce roll set for her. I've done an HP defense with attack roll gear set. I've done attack defense with Pierce rolls and attack roll. And so I've done all the different variants of gear sets for Lilia, and I've noticed that it doesn't matter as much. What really matters on a Lilia team is what you're using the team for. So when you start out with a Lilia team, what's really interesting is with blue Lilia, you can build any of those 4 variants that I just mentioned, and they're all viable. However, what's really interesting about this character is, since you can build so many different variants of her gear, you really have to worry about why you're building specifically for those reasons. So there are metas on JP where attack and defense is a little bit better. There are metas where the HP defense is a little bit better with Pierce rolls. And typically what I use blue Lilia for is I use her as a supporter to increase my blue Meliodas' damage. I actually have other rings here that I use specifically for Lilia, and I just started using this counter because it actually doesn't matter this week. So what's really fun about Lilia is that you can build so many different gear sets with her, and they're all viable. Pierce rate sets are really helpful, because then you can boost out your blue Demon Meliodas. If you wanted to maximize your Demon Meliodas damage, the only way you're going to do that is with a Pierce rate set. And if you wanted to maximize him even further, you wanted to go with an HP and defense set, because then the Lilia will survive longer in PvP. And that's why I currently have this particular HP defense set. If I wanted to go with a healer build, or have a team where the heals on Lilia were extremely strong, the ult rollbacks that you're using on her are extremely strong, and she's kind of a standalone unit, you can go with an attack defense build, and she can with just full set on that. What's really interesting about Lilia is Lilia has a ridiculous amount of defense. She has one of the highest defense classes in the game. She has 8,200, as you can see here, before her UR set. After you start UR set, I think you get over 9,000, I think, when you get all said and done, which is really powerful. She has one of the highest defenses in the game, but her overall combat class, as you can see, at 38,000, is a little bit lower because I'm using this Pierce set. Even if I could get a little bit higher, this is actually a very low set amount of combat class because her HP is a little bit lower and her attack is a little bit lower. So unfortunately, she's just not as strong. Even if I was to say put on MELIODAS' equipment onto her and just having a full attack and defense set, you can see I only go up to like 39,000, even though I lose a little HP here. If I use an HP and defense set from someone else, I really don't move up that much combat class. And that's a major issue with Lilia, is that her combat class is also low. And on the team that she's running on, it's really important to go first. So do you go with an attack defense build, a Pierce build, etc.? Well, that's going to be up to you as a player in deciding what you wanted to do for Lilia. And as you can see, you really cannot get a ton of combat class on her. So if going first is important, you're going to have to figure out what you're going to need to sacrifice in order to do a lot better in PvP. So for my full box, besides those two things, because those are probably the most common questions would be asked, I'm going to go over some of the other characters that I thought were really viable throughout the entire game, and some of the characters I had to build out for different content that I specifically had to build out. So I'm just going to go over these in a full list and characters I've never used or used. Fraudrin I was using for PvP for a little bit as a level 1 kind of blue SR SSR Liz strat. These characters I used kind of similarly. This is before we knew that we can use her as a death unit. She came out at the 100-day banner. I leveled her up like mistakenly. I was like, oh, whatever. So I think I'm gonna continue to build her out. And actually use her for training cave now. So she's okay. She just don't do this. Don't just leave her at level 1 if you ever want to use her. Then on this character here, I use this character sometimes. I use her for Crimson Demon in Hell sometimes, if I use her sometimes in general, but I really don't use SR Liz too often. This red SSR Liz is actually one of the least useful units that I've ever used. But this ability here is a cleanse on a single target, and then this increases defense and defensive skills. And this is such a weird ability. I think it's maybe it's actually a multi-target. I don't actually remember, but it is increasing defense, which is kind of interesting. But it's a buff that you use to increase defense, and she's an Liz, so it doesn't really matter. And this is an AOE attack that actually heals, so it does damage and then heals the team, and then she has the same healing effect. So overall, this SSR Liz has not really seen any play in the Japanese version. She came out for New Year's and no one ever used her, but she was really cool. I just never built her out. These other two units I've really never used. This is the SR character for Matrona Diane, one that we got for free. And this is the SSR Green Diane. She's really not good. If she had come out like near launch, she would have been fine, but she might have been a little bit too strong for that. We'll see. Red Nunchuck Bond, I used a couple times in Crimson Demon for Hell, but then once we were able to get Red Escanor, he just fell off my box and I haven't used him really since. Green Nunchuck Bond, I tried to use for a long time in PvP. It does work. The reason I built this character out is because I was using him for a meta that was on forever. It was like this Green Escanor and Gallon meta. It was super weird. Like there was this really weird meta that was on JP, and Green Bond was my major way of combating that. And I had a very limited pool of green units. I actually didn't even have Jericho for a long time on JP, so I had to use Bond, and that's why he's built out on my JP account. So it's much different on global, where like which characters are extremely good or bad. Blue Gother I've never tried to use because his defensive stats are too low. Green Gother I just recently maxed out. I maxed him out for as a supporting unit because I just wanted to see if he would be good, and he's okay. But like this allows me to use SSR Gother on the team while using an SR Gother support while also using Merlin on the team. This is basically why he's built out. Blue Gil Thunder I've used for Training Cave on some occasions as a supporting unit. A lot of these, this character right here in particular is a really cool unit for Training Cave because he gives 60% defense to all blue characters. And there was a version of the Training Cave that came out, it was the second version of the Training Cave, where there was this Hellbrum that attacked on an AoE effect, and he didn't really have a lot of pierce or penetration or whatever. He just had raw attack damage that he was doing to you. So this Blue Gil Thunder made it a lot easier when you used him against that stage. And high defense characters like this are very good against AoE. And he was very nice for the Training Cave, but beyond that I haven't really used him. SSR Gil Thunder I've never even attempted to use heavily. Red Gila is my starting SSR on one of my starting SSRs. My two starting SSRs were Blue Gother and Red SSR Gila, and I use these for a lot of the game starting on JP. These characters I just built out for cosmetics. I've tried using, but not very good. I've never even, I don't think I've ever used Blue Grimoire, like ever. Green Grimoire I've tried to use, but he's not good. Hellbrum, I did, so on the Japanese version, if you didn't use Kingbrum at the start of the game, you couldn't progress. There was no way. Imagine if you petrified someone, they would be completely locked out. Even if you cleansed, you couldn't remove things. That's why Hellbrum's built out, because till about level 70, it was like really, really impossible and super toxic if you didn't use Kingbrum. So it was every Kingbrum versus Kingbrum almost every fight. And if it wasn't a Kingbrum fight, you won like almost 100% of the time. Red Merlin I built out specifically for final boss Meliodas. This character is extremely good for that fight specifically. So if you were wondering if she's worth feeding ultimate copies to right now in the global version, the answer is kinda. If you wanted to go for like a really high score on Final Boss King or Final Boss Meliodas and Elizabeth, she is the best unit in the game for that, but I don't know if the scoring is going to be the same on the global versus the Japanese version. She was a featured unit on that fight, so I don't know if it's going to be best, and I can't advise you on like feeding dupes right away. I just like that's where it is. Twigod, I built out. He definitely vibed. Blue Merlin trash. So a lot of these units now, from this point going up for a little bit, these units I built out for something called reverse stages, and reverse stages are this whole different animal that comes after Training Cave. And the reason I want to go over these is the second season just came out today, and they are extremely difficult stages. Okay, these stages make it so that you are required to bring specific units. So the team you can see here in this final fight, you're gonna be fighting Meliodas, Bon, Deanne, and Elizabeth, and the characters you have to use are going to be any Hendrickson and any Dreyfus in your box. And this does not include Fraudrins, this is just any Hendrickson, any Dreyfus. And this means you're limited to like SR Hendrickson, SSR Hendrickson. You're limited to these very crappy units that you can use right here. And like, it's a very difficult fight because of that, and you have to use these super weird units that you haven't built out, and the only thing that you get on these characters is cosmetics as well as ultimate levels and character levels. So it's a gearless fight, and it makes it extremely difficult. So you have to build out these characters for reverse stages. So when people ask me, hey, is it worth it to build out X character? What's up, dude? Thanks for the follow. How you doing? When people ask me, hey, is it worth building out any of these characters? Are they good long term? Are they good short term? The thing is, you're eventually going to need to build out a lot of these weird ass characters to beat reverse stages. And reverse stages are so tough that you really have to. You have to build these characters out like fully. Like look at this, I have a Frieza at level 70. This is not a meme. I literally had to build this character out this level 70 to even complete that stage. And I was like, oh crap, I had to do this. It took a lot of resources and it took a lot of time and effort. And they are very RNG dependent too. So there's a lot, it's a very challenging stage, and these stages are very fun over time, but like they can be very frustrating as well. Some of them are like so mind-bogglingly difficult, you just hate them. And the reverse stages are like very, very, very cool. And I'm gonna be doing some of the reverse stages today on stream. So if you want to come check it out, twitch.tv/Sekapoko. So I'm gonna be doing some of those today because I want to get some free diamonds as well as, you know, some free other stuff. But Wineheart I never built out. I never built Red Slater for anything but a supporting unit for Gother, and I'd never tried out the Red Slater strat on JP. I just didn't have the resources. Blue Slater was one of my initial build outs on Global. Marmite is actually a full build character for Demon Meliodas teams. This character is a super good unit for those teams because Blue Lilia and Blue Meliodas are both blue, and then you survive longer because Marmus is there. So that was our like block early on to Demon Meliodas teams to win a lot. And you take a CP hit here, but it was worth. It was worth. So there are counter strategies that involve this, and they're very good. Okay, so going in further, we have a lot of other teams that we can build out, and there are other characters that I built out. Anything at level 60, I kind of just built out for fun, or to build out the UR sets and combat class, all that stuff. Dreyfus I built out for actual fights in the reverse stages. Elaine, we never had to build out at all on the Japanese version. We actually got her on the Final Boss King stage initially, but there was no reason to build out a lane. And it's really cool that on the global version, they actually made a reason for us to build out a lane, which was really cool because I've never had an opportunity to use her. And I was like, oh, cool, I get to play with the lane. So I was really excited to actually play with the lane and use her in content, and that was fun. So that's one of the things that global is doing right, and I'm really excited about, is that you're using characters that you never got to use on JP, which is fun. Green Demon Meliodas, there was some metas that were evolving around him, but it's super rare to see this character because he doesn't even hold a candle to how strong the blue one is. And the red one is okay, but the green one is really tough to use. The blue SSR Arthur, this SR Arthur, this character was a much bigger build on JP because of Final Boss Gother. And the time that Arthur came out on the Japanese version, he actually didn't see almost any play at all on JP, and no one used him. The funny thing is, when people were asking me at the start of global launch, hey Seka, who's the best character to reroll for? What I was saying is, oh, you gotta build out Arthur, Hauser, those characters are insane. Definitely build out those characters. They're gonna last a lot longer than anything else you can build out. Everything else is not gonna last very long. And they're like, oh, really? But what's really interesting, we never used Arthur on JP. And I was like, oh shit, yay, he came out super early and we can use him. And Arthur is an awesome unit to use on global, and you can see the power of him. So the global meta, having red Arthur, is super fun, that we have this totally different unit that's built off the meta. And Arthur does come into PvP much later on in the Japanese version when Red Escort comes out. He came out later on, and he was really pushing the boundaries. He came out with Galland, and Galland was a bigger primo unit because the first time you ever saw commandments, and commandments were really strong. Anti-Petrify was really strong. There was like less counterplay in PvP. So it's much different now. This blue SSR Arthur here, this character I got built out too. He's really, really good, really fun. Let's go back down actually. So going down on these other units, I've never used any of these units. I used this character for Final Boss Ifrit because I really didn't know about Red Jericho at the time, and I didn't want to build her out either. So this is good. I actually tried a crit resist build with her, and it was really fun. It was cool. This Bon over here, I've just started recently building out. He's not very good. He's really not very good. He actually didn't get cosmetics on his weapons till very, very recently, and same with all the other Bons. They actually didn't get weapon cosmetics till recently. And what's really interesting on the global version, you got all the weapon cosmetics really early on. But if I wanted to go to the Japanese version and I wanted to pick up the cosmetics, what's really interesting here is that you can actually pick, since they came out so late, if I want to, I can go over here and pick up any of his cosmetics, and since they came out so late, they only cost 15 diamonds for Bon on JP. So if you're looking to build out a Hell Red Demon character on JP, this character costs less on diamonds. It's the only character in the game that costs less for diamonds because he was one of the first characters that they ever came out with for super late with weapons. And the entire time initially on the Japanese version, it's weird that this character never got a chance to be built. So that's why he's got discounted weapons on JP, and I don't think it was a global shaft because this would not be fair if he had 15 diamond weapons on global. He needs to have 30 diamond weapons on global because this character came out so late, he needed 15 diamond weapons to even be like considered to be viable because of how late he came out with weapons. It was like, I think it was like 6 months, it was like 8 months after the game came out or something like that. It was something ridiculous. And it was like, no, it was 7 months maybe? 7, I think it was 7. And he came out so late on weapons that no one even considered building him out until way later. So really interesting that he came out with that. For the slime units, I was using this. The most useful unit of all the units is SR Rimmer because he's a good supporting unit and he's 6-6able. The other units, if you have 6-6 them, great. You'll have fun with them. Benny Mario, I use the most out of the slime batch more often now for the trading cave because I use him for one of the stages as a DPS unit with Red Slater and Demon Meliodas just because it's a weakness-based character and it's fun to do. Other characters, I got Green Lilia built out, obviously in the Japanese version. We're not going to talk about why, because, you know. We're going to go into Galland. Galland I've used a couple different times. This character I was actually using for a PvP meta for a very long time and getting into Challenger every week with this team. And it was a really annoying team with Bon and Green King. Sorry. No, it was a really freaking mean team. I think it was using Merlin with Galland and CS Bond. And it was this super toxic team because he would just counter people from playing the way they wanted to and then just pressure them with Bond. the whole time. And they would just like, their HP would be reduced so much that you could just cleave them down. It was actually super fun. But you can't do that in the global version. You'd never be able to get away with that. Recently, I just started building out this green Fraudrin. I just want to build them out. These other characters, I haven't really had the opportunity to play because I just don't have the resources to build out every character in the game. Red Esterosa, I haven't built out either, even though she's just dog shit. Oh my god, he's bad. Dogetto I had to build out specifically for a reverse stage, and I actually started liking him. He's a really cool character. Arden I built out for reverse stages too. I didn't have to build out either Mono or Deldry, even though my Deldry actually has max ultimate. A lot I actually build out for Guild Boss, and there's actually a team in Guild Boss that revolves around this a lot, but unequipped her weapons because she does too much damage. It's annoying. It's very fucking annoying. But a lot is available forever, so don't think that she's only gonna be a limited unit. She's actually available on a lot of different banners, and you'll be annoyed how much you pull this character. This is an area I'm really triggered on. I hope Valentine Cosmetics make them back. If you don't know why, check out my cosmetics regrets video link up there. I'll tell you, you'll understand why I'm pissed about this character. This Zarathustra I ended up pulling on the Zeldris banner and actually maxed him out. I wasn't actually trying to get him. I just wanted to get Zeldris, because I don't give a fuck about him. But I actually used him a lot for Final Boss Diane, and I was able to get top 5% because of him. It was really competitive on JP, so I don't think it's going to be nearly as competitive on Global for Final Boss Diane. Yeah. Blue SR Meliodas, no regrets. Mine, the meme for the Japanese players, a lot of the Japanese players on the Reddit was I had the strongest blue Meliodas in the game, and the reason is because no one else in the game wanted to build them out, so I literally had the strongest fucking blue Meliodas for the longest time, and no one had the SR medals to build out anyone, because we have way more SR medals on Global than we did on JP. So I definitely had the strongest blue Meliodas, and like I was competing with all these red Lizhawks. It was really fun, and that was a giant meme, but definitely worth building out. Super fun unit. This character here for Green Liz, this is one of the best units in the game for Hell Grey Demon. Super fun unit to use too. Deanne, I never had the opportunity to build out. I do want to build her out eventually, but probably will not for a long time. My Blue King's maxed. He's got his max ultimate. He gets to about 50,000 combat class here. Not a ton of combat class, but you know, really, really cool. He's at 46,000. I can get a lot higher. I just haven't really focused on him a lot. Blue King was one of those characters I never really enjoyed playing. I did use him for Kingbrim, and I got sick of him after that. But I have everything built on him. I just never committed on him, you know. It's just one of those units. I don't care. He's max ultimate. I don't even care about the unit though. I'm so sick of him. Red King though is one of the characters, the best characters in the game, by the way. Definitely build out a Red King. This is one of the best PvP characters. This is the full counter to all Blue Meliodas teams. This character right here, his passive ability reduces pierce rate on enemy characters by 50%, and all bonus pierce rate by 50% in addition to that. So you get your initial pierce rate halved, and then bonus pierce rate halved as well. So all pierce rate is halved. He's a perfect unit to counter Red Meliodas, and it's a very annoying thing to fight a Red King backline if you're fighting Blue Meliodas. It's definitely a hard counter. So next up we got Gowther, and Gowther I made a showcase for. He's definitely one of the best characters in the game. I got him 6x everything, you know, just really, really good character. Lasts a very, very long time on JP, and definitely is lasting a long time on Global so far. So very cool unit, and he's still in meta now. There's tons of teams that use him. There's no other character that's lasted this long as far as PvP metas besides Blue King and Gowther. Those are the longest lasting two units, and then Merlin's the only other unit that could even be considered lasting long. Those three are probably the trifecta of units that have lasted the longest in the game. Other characters that are really interesting to build out, Blue Gila, obviously, I just recently built out, but since we got a Halloween Gila support unit, I actually never built out Blue Gila initially. Green Gil Thunder, super good unit to build out, definitely built him out. That's why I built cosmetics for him, purchased cosmetics for him, all that stuff. Super, super good unit. Griamore was one of those characters I really kind of regretted not picking up head pieces for as time went on, and I was really sad about that because he's a super cool unit, and I definitely should have built him out, but I didn't do it. Hauser was one of the best units in the game for the longest time, and what's really interesting is the Hauser weapon finally came back, and I was able to pick it up. It didn't come back for gems though. It only came back for resources. Anyways, Jericho, there are a total of 4 versions of Jericho. There is Blue Jericho, double Blue Jericho SSRs, and double 2 SRs. The blue SSR Jericho increases crit chance. I built every build Jericho built out. They're all good in some situation. This one's good for this one right here is good for Hell Red Demons. This one's good for Final Boss Merlin. As you can see, it was good for Ifrit. This one was good for Guild Boss for a while. This one is a good supporting unit. Now, if you want to use crit teams on the Hell Red Demon, there's tons of variations that you can use with these characters, and it's really nice to build these characters out. Going into the other teams, other characters for these, Hellbrim, really good for Guild Boss, obviously, and then he fell off because Easton came in. Easton's much better. Then we got Alioni. Alioni, super good unit. Merlin, super good unit. Kane, I never really built out. Gustav was really good for a while for, again, the Guild Boss, and then again, he fell off. They're built out for the red Escanor team that you may have seen in PvP. It's really similar to the one with Blue Lizhawk on Global, but Escanor having a massive amount of HP makes it a lot better than the Blue Lizhawk strategy because of his initial passive. And on the other characters on the team, of course, we got Demon Meliodas, all that stuff. And then we got, of course, we have the Lizhawks. What's really interesting about Liz on my account is that I actually have a UR build set on my Liz because Elizabeth has 7 versions. There's 7 versions of Elizabeth, and I'm like, damn, dude, they're always gonna build out more Elizabeths. And Red Lizhawk is extremely good for a long time. Green Lizhawk was good for farming at some points, and good for some PvP teams. Green Liz is really good in general for the Gray Demons, and you can auto Gray Demons because you do that. Blue Lizhawk is an interesting character to build out. She was really good. The only time that, what's really interesting, Blue Lizhawk was never meta on JP. She was actually only ever used for one thing, and she was only used for Final Boss Gother. And the reason she was never really good is because she actually got her upgrades way too late. And the fact that we were able to use Blue Lizhawk is another cool character that I'm really glad that they came out early, but like got her rework on launch on Global. And she was so shitty on JP that there was no way you could ever use her. But seeing how she got such a good rework and it was put on Global perfectly, this character is amazing and is so much fun to use on Global. And I'm really loving that we have this character built out. And I'm able to, now I can do other metas that come out later with this character that'll be really fun. Green Matrona Diane, I actually didn't get this unit until much later. She's a really cool unit. I'm really curious when they're going to bring out this unit, and if they're going to bring this unit out anytime soon, because she's extremely, extremely strong. So this character actually, when she came out, Matrona Diane, the other 2 Matrona Dianes actually got weapons, so that's really cool. This blue Nunchuck Bond, I'm using right now on PvP on JP, and actually super fun. Is it a good team? I don't know. I'm just having fun with it, but he's definitely a fun unit to use in general. He's one of the best units in the game for Hell Red Demon, so definitely consider building him out too. Blue Lily, obviously good. We already went over. Escanors, both of them are good. If you want to see my Escanor gear, sure, I'll show you my Escanor gear. It's full attack defense. Here you go. There's your Escanor candy. You happy now? Here you go. I got that. You good? You good, bro? You want to see the cosmetics for Escanor too? I got you, fam. You know what I'm saying? I didn't buy everything. I just got lazy. But I've been upgrading cosmetics for him. We got this done. We got this done. I just, I could have bought more stuff for Escanor and built him out even more. But, he's pretty good. 47,000 combat class for attack defense is really good. You can get over 50,000 with HP defense. So do what you want to do. I mean, it's Escanor. You build him out as much as you want. Blue Melascula, can't wait for this unit to come out Global. Fucking can't wait. I hope she comes out soon because I can't wait to build this character out. All right, then we got Deldry. Sorry, then we got Derrieres. Of course, these characters are really fun. I actually just recently did this out for PvP, building this up for PvP. Really fun to build these out. I'm probably going to focus on this character a little bit more for PvP and etc. for upgrades. Valenti is really good on launch, and then she's actually a PvE hero for a while too. So right now, Valenti is actually a PvE hero on JP. You don't use her at all in PvP right now, but her longevity is stupid. Like, she's so good because she reduces pierce rate on enemy teams and because she does that and she does it so effectively, your defense values are just ridiculous in comparison to enemies, and they just do no damage. A lot of enemy damage comes from pierce rate and attack card percentage, so this character does a ton of work in PvP for a long time. And this character only really kind of fell out of meta and when Lost Vein Meliodas came out. So that's really fun. Death Pierce recently built him out for reverse stages. Yeah, it's fun. Easton, really fun. Roxy, really fun. And Shin, I've yet to build out. These two characters are definitely good characters. I have yet to be able to play Roxy in PvP because we're in the middle of a crit meta, and I can't play her in a crit meta. I need a more Pierce meta or I need a more tanky meta. It really depends on what we're going to see going forward, and that would be really fun to see where she goes. That was a long video. Alright guys, well my name's Sekapoko. Thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Just like and subscribe, all the fun stuff. I have lots of things that I want to build out on JP and lots of things on global that allow me to do things. So I hope this JP Vox review gives you an idea of what to expect going forward on Japan as well as what to do going forward on global. So you can understand what to do as far as, you know, a year into the game. But of course, I think my global count can actually catch up about twice as quick, which is really cool. And that's because we have so many more resources and so many more ways of obtaining resources right now in global. But thank you guys for watching. Have a great Instagram, guys. Bye.